Well, welcome leaders to this video. Remember, I made a deal with you. You're watching this video because you're keeping your end of the deal. I said I wouldn't call you out for another meeting at this busy time of the year if we could do this recording, and what I would have shared with you live, you can listen in your own time. Thank you so much for making yourself available to serve at Lighthouse this year. We're excited about where God is taking us as a church, and any good church is going to require good leadership. Right from the top, the eldership, right down to the children's church leaders who are ministering to our next generation of leaders. And we just really are so grateful to all of you that have given up of your time and your energy and resource to give to the kingdom. And it's going to be a good year. The purpose of this video really is just to remind you of a couple of things that we really hold dear as leaders, and would love you just to be aware of it and to kind of live it out as we pursue God's purposes for this year. Firstly, just to remind you from Sunday where we're going, because the bigger picture is really important. We want all of our leaders to be able to understand the big picture, where we're going. So whether you're a community leader, an elder, whether you're involved in a youth ministry, we're all pulling together. Obviously, various ministries will reflect that slightly differently. But the overall purpose, the journey that we are on, has become clearer over the last couple of years. We've used language like we're on this journey, we're going deeper into the things of God. And what it really means for us is this, that we are pursuing the King and his kingdom. Jesus, in fact, said, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. All these things will be added to you. At the start of the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come. Jesus invited his disciples to pray this prayer on an ongoing basis. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth, in my life, at Lighthouse, as it is in heaven. And so we're in pursuit of the King and his kingdom. When we pursue the King, when we are living lives that follow Jesus, when we are allowing Jesus to transform us from the inside out, when we are living lives that honor him, we're living by his word, and his presence comes and transforms us from the inside out, we start to experience authentic kingdom life. And so when we say we're in pursuit of the King and his kingdom, we're saying, Lord, let your kingdom come. How does it come? It comes because we pursue him. And so that's what we're doing, and I won't take you through what we covered on Sunday. You can go and download the message if you missed it, and really would encourage you to do that. But how is this kingdom life going to come about in the life of our church? It's going to come because we're on this, we've made a commitment to this journey of seeking more of him. And when he comes, he manifests kingdom life among us. The reason why we say this is a journey is because as much as we say we might know that, the fact is we are a lot more familiar with church. We're a lot more familiar with how the world works because we see it and we live in the natural. The kingdom is a spiritual kingdom. And so we've got to grow in our understanding and perception and discernment when it comes to kingdom life. So we're committing as a church to this journey. It's going to unfold in Sunday messages. It's going to unfold in community life right through our youth ministries. And we want you as leaders to be aware of that. How do we usher it in, though, apart from doing the practical things like teaching and modeling? Well, a key area for us as leaders is prayer. Right throughout the Bible, God calls his people, his leaders in particular, to pray and to seek his face. And I want to put a challenge to all of you as leaders. Won't you pray? Pray for our church. Pray for your department that you're leading. Pray for it regularly. Pray for the people that you're serving. Pray that his kingdom comes. Pray for the lives that you're serving and that you're leading to be transformed by his presence and his grace. Let's really seek God. I'm really trusting that God comes and manifests himself. Because when the King comes, things happen. We know that. And so we trust him for more experiences of his manifest presence. We trust him for lives to be changed. We trust him for bondages to be broken and people to come into the freedom that is part of his kingdom. When his kingdom authority defeats darkness in our lives. We're praying and trusting for more healings. And we want to see the miracles and signs and wonders that are part of his kingdom. They're part of the ministry of Jesus on earth. So please be in prayer. Make that a daily thing, leaders, to really be in prayer. Pray for our leaders, the leaders of our church. Pray for unity, because the enemy will always try and be divisive. Pray for our marriages and our families, and pray that his kingdom comes. The other thing that I really just want to challenge you is something that if you've been a leader in this church for some years, you would have heard me talk about the 4 C's. And I just use them and use the alliteration because it's really helpful for us to remind ourselves of what it means to be a leader spiritually. And these 4 C's really just remind me and I hope remind you of what it means to be a good leader before the Lord, and obviously what we would expect here at Lighthouse. The first C is character. None of us are perfect characters, and we're working on our characters. All of our characters are a work in progress. And we all have character flaws. That's the worldly term. The biblical term is sin. We're not expecting perfection, but we do need character. And what is character? It basically means that we're living like Jesus. We're taking his word seriously. We're growing in him. We're living lives that follow him, honor him. We're his disciples. And that should be reflected in all of us, but particularly as members. See, here's the crunch. It's a lot easier to excuse a mistake that a leader makes, maybe in competence, or, if I didn't rock up for church and I overslept on a Sunday morning. It's a fairly serious thing. Elders would call me in, we'd talk about it, say, Trev, listen, get a better alarm clock. But if I was found to be lying and deceiving, if I was found to be flirting with women online, or a character issue is a lot more difficult to excuse and deal with, spiritually speaking, because implied in a spiritual leader is biblical character, Christian character, not perfection, but growing in being honest and being transparent and being real and manifesting righteousness in all that we do. And so let's guard our hearts. The Bible calls us as leaders to guard our hearts. Let's watch our lives. Paul says to Timothy, watch your life carefully, because the enemy will come and he'll try and attack your character. And let me just say, if you are going through something, and a lot of the times we go through it privately, maybe sometimes even those closest to us don't even know the secret sin that we're struggling with, or the real internal struggles, please come and share it with me. Over the years, I've so appreciated leaders come and share with me, Trevor, listen, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Sometimes leaders have just taken a break. Nobody's known why. They've just stepped down for a season. They don't need to know why. Others, we've just been able to journey and pray together. But it's a lot more helpful to nip it in the bud and to walk together, because that's what we do. That's what we do. But a lapse in character for a leader can have massive fallout in a church. And the enemy wins every time. And so let's guard that. Folks, I really challenge you to guard your character. Give heed to your life, and particularly your heart. That's number 1. Number 2 is commitment. Character, commitment. Commitment, firstly, and we talked about this last week, commitment to God, commitment to family, and thirdly, commitment to the body of Christ. Your commitment to God needs to be evident. It's very difficult to defend a leader when people come in and say, I just don't know if so-and-so stands with the Lord. And they're wondering because they see no visible commitment to the Lord. It doesn't mean that you've got to have your hands raised and fake it. It just means that out of a genuine walk with the Lord and a genuine devotion to the Lord, people notice. People notice. They notice in the way that you talk. They notice in the way that you live. They notice in the way that you worship. Leaders of Lighthouse, let's model that. Let's model that commitment to Jesus above all else. Secondly, commitment to family. That's a big value for us as a church. And so if your family is suffering, please come and talk to me because we can work something out. We don't want your family to pay a price. We want you to have time for your family. That's why we don't have excessive meetings. We try not to make excessive demands on our leaders or our members, because we value family. Guard your family. Invest in your family as leaders. And it's biblical. And then thirdly, commitment to your responsibility in the local church. Commitment to your gifting. Commitment to what is required in your job. Here's the thing about commitment. Just talking about commitment in the local church. If you slack, whatever your responsibility is in our church, if you slack and you don't do your job, it's a job that needs to get done. Somebody else is going to have to step in. Somebody else, somebody probably more committed than you, is going to have to step up and do the job. That's not fair. If you've signed up for a job, then you need to deliver. That's our expectation. The expectation of the team that you serve on, and my expectation, everybody's expectation, including the people that we serve, is that you will do what you say you will do. And you'll be committed to what you've committed to. And so please, would you take that seriously? It's very frustrating. I know we're volunteers. I know that time is busy, and of course there are exceptions. If you have a very demanding week or so on, phone somebody in the team. You can swap out. But let's not slack off. And let me just say, and I'm probably speaking to the converted here, we have a very high standard like us on this issue. Let's keep it. Let's keep the high standard. As we get bigger and more demands are made on our leaders, let's keep the standard. I really am chuffed with that. But let's not drop the ball either. So character, commitment. The third thing is competence. Competence. In other words, there needs to be a reasonable competence in what you're doing. So if you're involved in insurance ministry, equip yourself in insurance ministry. The leaders will do their best to give some training from time to time. Maybe you want to read up, and the internet is our friend when it comes to resources and just being equipped. Download messages of good children's church speakers and leaders and around the world. Equip yourself to be the best that you can be for the Lord. And so this goes across. We'll try and do our equipping from our side as a church, but that doesn't stop you from being equipped in all that you are doing, so that you can become the best that you can be. Obviously, we have a standard. We want to keep that as a church, and so character, commitment, competence. The third and final one is also really important, and that's connections. What I mean by that is connections with people. And you've heard me say many, many times, when you strip all of church life and ministry and the building and the worship and structures and everything away, what you're left with is ministry is about people. Ministry is about people. People in need, people have feelings, people want to grow, people make mistakes, people. And for me, what it all comes down to is this. I'm not called, and neither are you. We're not called to take responsibility for people's actions. We're not called to get them to where they need to go. We can only help facilitate that. But in simple terms, my role and your role as a leader is to listen, care, be involved enough in somebody's life to find out where they are with the Lord and help them